Hard Travelin, Fall 1980, Episode 5. I walk a half mile out of town, and the highway north is deserted. The entire state of Indiana is packed into the Notre Dame Stadium for the gladiator fights. I can tell I'm east of Chicago because Interstate 90 has become a toll road. Rats. Pain in the thumb for a hitchhiker. Finally, a car. One lone deviant in a white bomb that looks like it's a veteran of Hiroshima pulls up and said he's going to Benton Harbor. Hot damn, that's in Michigan. Another border breached as we pull over the state line. It hits me that there are real stands of trees here, almost small forests between the inevitable cornfields and hills, gently undulating knobs and fens filled with trees of incredible colors, iridescent reds and yellows and oranges. It is stunningly beautiful, and I just sit hypnotized by the display. We pass a river absolutely filled with fishermen in hip-waders boots. "What's going on?" I ask. "Salmon season." "Salmon? Here?" "Sure. Great Lake Salmon Run." "I didn't know there was one." "Oh, sure." "Seems kind of late. The Pacific Run is in July and August." "I think Atlantic salmon are different. I don't know, but every year these rivers get maxed out with fishermen. I mean, everybody and his mother shows up." "Yeah, I guess." He lets me off at the junction of 94 East and tools on into Benton Harbor. I've hardly had time to see where I am before a gray Datsun pulls up. It's a lone female. That's rare. She's maybe 26 or 27 and very forward and talkative. She installs telephone computer equipment, but her real love is skydiving. I try to appear casual. Skydiving, of course, why not? For miles, she talks my left ear off about skydiving, and I just nod and grin and occasionally say, "Wow," and "uh-huh." And then she lets me out in Kalamazoo. Whoa, my ear is bruised. Collect my wits and try to appear nice and proper to the cars passing by. A car with a little old lady goes by. Not a chance in hell. She glares darkly. "Dirty hippie bum stranger." A she-bear with cubs in a station wagon. No way. A businessman in a nice car. Well, if he's a salesman, he might stop. If not, forget it. A Ford van. Could go either way. Some cool cat with bucks and a tinge of counterculture, or a straight family recreational vehicle. Nope, cruises on by. A single young girl. Too rare, too risky. She drives by slowly, looking at me with indecision. Very pretty. I smile at her hopefully, and she smiles back. She makes a snap decision and stops. Whoopee! Her name is Sarah. She's a student at Kalamazoo. That's the University of Western Michigan. We talk quite a bit. She's going all the way to Detroit and is happy to have the company. But as well as talking, I do a lot of looking out of the corner of my eye at the profile of her face. She's not pretty like a model with classic lines and contours. She's got a nose that curves slightly outwards, which sets off her green eyes and long lashes. Her hair is blonde in almost ringlets and falls around her face to her shoulders. She has a very pretty way of smiling. Not quite a full laugh, just a smile, and her whole face takes on a warm little girl glow. Sometimes she smiles a little first, and then the laugh comes out in spite of itself. When she turns to look at me, I see that her expression is one of quiet vulnerability, like a gazelle or a wildflower. I feel like giving her a big hug and telling her so, but that would violate the unspoken pact of smiles that we signed when she picked me up, the pact which told her I was harmless and friendly, and told me that she just wanted some company, nothing more. So I just look and marvel. Sarah is beautiful. She's a national treasure, and I am very happy to be able to just drink in her image for 100 miles. She lets me off in Ann Arbor, gives me another devastating smile, and leaves me feeling happy sad in the lingering Michigan twilight. It's black when I reach the campus of the University of Michigan. As usual, I ditch my pack in a dime locker at the Student Union building, keeping only my sleeping bag pad and rainfly. I chug down an entire quart of chocolate milk for dinner and, feeling slightly seasick, wander off across campus to find the usual set of bushes. Around back of the art museum, there's a loading dock with some bushes behind it. Well, in the shadows, somebody would actually have to come around behind and look for me to find me. Unlikely on a cold Saturday night. Sleep. It's 12:45. Something woke me. A rustle in the bushes. A walkie-talkie splutters. I freeze. Just lie there. Play dead. He'll never see you. Every nerve is tense and I'm wide awake. Footsteps fade away. I breathe again gently. Probably a guard checking the service loading dock entrance to the museum. I should have thought of that. It's a toss-up as to whether I should pack up and flee to a safer spot or lie here and hope the guard didn't see me. My mind says, go, and my body says, no way. The body wins, and I drift back into dreams. After all, what can they do to you for sleeping in the bushes? 1:10. I wake up. There's two voices talking. Where is he? Over behind the bushes, against the wall. Okay, thanks, I got it. All right. Rustles and footsteps. A bright light floods my hideout. I just lie there and play dead. Maybe it'll just go away. My heart is doing an African signal drum imitation. Something nudges my foot firmly. Hey. The game is up. The cat is out of the bag. It's the electric chair, and my poor mother will never see me again. Albert must be out to lunch. I sit up sleepily. You can't sleep here. Oh, really? Very innocent. You got to know how to deal with cops. Get them on your side. Feel them out and find out how to get past that formal legal armor to the soft underbelly, which is their humanity. Can I see some ID? Sure. Very cooperative, very open. You can get your things together, okay? He looks at my driver's license with his flashlight while I pack my stuff as quickly as my hands will allow. Death row. So this is what it's like. Come on out to the squad car when you're packed up. And remember, I got your license, so don't try to sneak out on me. Very stern. I laugh gaily, as if it's foolish to think I would try to split. I can tell he's softening. See, the point is, I am just a transient sleeping in the bushes. I am not planning grand larceny in the museum, nor am I in any way threatening the national security of the United States of America. And as long as I retain the air of someone who has just committed a little harmless trespassing, he can't really crack down on me too hard. Play it cool. Keep the crime in perspective. Well, thus armed, I walk out to the squad car. He asks me, what am I doing in Ann Arbor? And I tell him all about the appointment with very important man number 3, composer William Balcom. Very friendly. He's totally at my mercy now, entirely incapacitated. Hell, I'm just a kid on a low-budget trip. And the term composer tends to lend a certain air of dignity to its bearer. Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, the kid who sleeps in the bushes. The cop is nice now and tells me to go find a hotel to sleep in. I wander off in the general direction he points and sleep behind a sign on a church lawn. As I pass out, I think, get up and out early in the morning. Tomorrow's Sunday. So now I'm on a bus for Detroit. Yep, I broke down and paid $6 just to haul my carcass from point A to point B. Albert is pissed, I just know it. I'm definitely degenerating. All my principles are rotting and falling away, leaving me open to amoral solutions such as Greyhound buses. It's one step from here to drugs and bank robbery. Well, time to fill you in on a few details. I had the temerity to phone very important man number 3 on a gray Sunday morning, and he was, fortunately, very friendly. He invited me to attend a concert that afternoon in which a piece of his was being played. I went, and it was very nice to play the cultured sophisticate again after a couple of weeks on the road. I sat next to him as he writhed and contorted and convoluted and sweated and prayed the piano quintet through every note and inflection. He took his bow and looked very pleased, congratulated the performers, and came back to his seat saying, "They really did it, didn't they? Man, they really did it." He was very excited and had every right to be. It was a good piece. That's why he's a very important man, and that's why I went to see him. We talked afterwards about many things: hexachords, tetrachords, polychords, sound chords, diminished chords, augmented chords, and demented chords. Very fine man, very fine composer. Then another night behind the church sign, and now here I sit on a bus for Detroit. I've decided to cut through Ontario to make a beeline for Rochester, New York. And since border guards generally take a certain malicious delight in interrogating hitchhikers, I've decided to be respectable for a spell. We pull into Detroit past a gigantic 90-foot tire, which reminds me of the economic base upon which Detroit lives or dies. Past factories and slums, past smokestacks and tenements, and then past an unreal 21st century complex of glass and chrome, which is called the Renaissance Center, Detroit's attempt at a facelift. It occurs to me to wonder just how many of these tenement dwellers on Detroit's 25% unemployment list enjoy the benefits of this facelift, this salvation of Detroit, and how many feel the rejuvenating economic boost that these convention centers, ritzy shopping malls, and office buildings provide toward the new Detroit, the new Renaissance. You've got to have pretty blind, hard-boiled faith in the trickle-down theory, that last mystical whammy of the capitalist system, to believe that the Renaissance Center has anything at all to do with the lives of the millions of hard-handed men and women who build the cars that make America roll. But what does an auto worker care about a piano quintet? Choose your fantasy, I guess. Choose your escape. The bus pulls into the central station for a couple of minutes, and I hop out for a stretch. A city bus pulls in to disgorge passengers, and through the door by the driver's seat, I see a sign. "Passengers over 44 inches high must pay full fare." Interesting. I wonder if drivers carry yardsticks. The loudspeakers squawk unintelligibly, but I guess that it's time to remount the carriage over the border into the Canadian town of Windsor, and from thence to a town called Chatham. I tried to pick a destination out of which I could easily catch the freeway heading east. As we pass through a little town called Tilbury, I look at my map. This place would be better than Chatham. The bus stop is a gas station with a Greyhound sign in the window, and I jump off and tell the driver I'd like my pack. He looks confused. He didn't remember anyone getting off in Tilbury. I could explain to him that I'm looking for the eastbound freeway, but you never know how people are going to react to hitchhiking, and he looks disgusted enough. I was going to Chatham, but I've decided to get off here. It does sound odd. You should have thought of that earlier. Yeah, I know. Sorry. He pulls my pack out of the luggage compartment. He looks at me like I'm weird, shrugs, and gets back on the bus. Most people know where they're going before they start out, he says. Yeah, I guess they do, I say. There's more subtle truth to that last little dialogue than he knows or I care to ponder. I'm walking down the road with a pack full of clothes and a head full of thoughts. And it's hard to say which is heavier. I'm not sure why, but I'm blue. It started on the bus with those thoughts about Detroit. I'm not as happy-go-lucky as I was a week ago. The euphoria of the freight train has vanished. Maybe it's the experience with the cop in Ann Arbor. Or maybe it's being tired of being an outsider wherever I go. I want back in. I'm lonely. I'm tired of transience and unpredictability. I want the money to eat a good meal and not have to worry about the bill. I want to get in a car or an airplane or a train and know where I'm going and when I'll get there. I want a friend to talk to. Funny, I never used to feel this way. I used to be able to travel for weeks and just revel in the new faces and new sights, soaking it all up like a sponge, never caring about time or distance or loneliness. Maybe I'm getting older anyway. Maybe I really crave security and warmth more than I like to admit. Maybe I'm actually becoming a respectable, settled-down member of society. Like the man in Illinois who'd hitched all 48 states, able to look back over the years to the days when he was a footloose kid. It's depressing. Yet as I pass by rows of houses in this small Ontario town, I almost wish that one of them was mine, with the home fires burning and a family expecting me, dinner, dessert, a newspaper to read, pipe and sherry, a woman to love, diapers to change, mortgage to pay, checking account overdrawn. Ach, Himmel, I'm sick. I stop at the freeway on-ramp and shoulder my pack. The first car that rounds the bend slows. The driver looks at me, stops, and smiles. My God, the very first car! Whoopee! All depression vanishes. I'm on my way, rambling east. Give me a thumb and an open road. Security be damned, I'm moving on. His name is Stan, and he's the vice president in charge of sales of a major Toronto firm that makes furnaces. Gas furnaces, oil furnaces, wood furnaces, assorted combinations thereof for the most dollar-efficient system in different areas, thermostats that regulate the flow of heat and the fuels used. I get quite a lecture on furnaces as we burn up the freeway. Their production, marketing, advertising, etc. Furnaces are something most people don't spend too much time contemplating, but they are life, happiness, and food on the table for Stan, and I'm fascinated. He's probably 55 to 60, has 3 sons, the youngest of whom is about to enter law school, and yet Stan is more like a little kid than the vice president of a corporation. He was lonely, facing a 3-hour drive to Toronto from Tilbury, where he sat through a boring meeting, wanted someone to talk to, and stopped to pick me up. I can tell he's proud of the company and the product and is excited that I'm interested. He does most of the talking. Thermostats, heat exchangers, air vents, auger feeders, pelletized fuels, and there is no sense of the age gap at all. He pulls off at a rest stop and buys coffee for him and a roll for me, and then we head on east. Where do you figure to spend the night tonight? Oh, I don't know. It's pretty unpredictable. I'm heading for the border at Niagara Falls, but I don't think I'll get there tonight. Yeah, it'll be getting almost dark by the time I drop you off in Mississauga. I don't suppose you get many rides after dark, do you? Nah, it gets about 43 times as hard after dark. I usually just quit for the night when it gets too dark. Well, I tell you, I know my wife wouldn't mind if you came home and had some supper with us. And then I could drop you off, back on the freeway south to Niagara Falls. And unless you'd rather just keep moving. I'm flabbergasted. This is a dream. Well, my gosh, that would be wonderful. I'd love to. Well, okay. And then I can drop you off on the QE2 heading south. Great. Home is a suburban house on a friendly neighborhood street in Mississauga. A town with no real center, just miles of rambling suburb, the western bedroom of Toronto's teeming millions. Stan's wife and son arrive soon after we do, and look at first puzzled and then pleased, as Stan explains my unheralded presence. Well, he was hitchhiking, and I think they are excited with the romance of feeding a homeless, starving waif. They listen with wide eyes to stories of boxcars and open roads, all mildly spiced with the elaborations and embroidery expected of a bard of the oral tradition. Of course, I am, after all, the entertainment, and I try to do my best. I'm a great success, apparently, because they refuse to let me sleep by the side of the road tonight, inviting me to use their extra bedroom. My, oh my, better and better. So we plunk down in the TV room after dinner and catch the last game of the World Series, complete with beer and potato chips, and then say good night, and I'm left alone in my room to wonder at this superb family, this paragon of open, warm, trusting hospitality. I'll have to make a promise to myself to pass on the favor to someone soon. Make a note. 7:30 a.m. Back on the road. The Queen Elizabeth II freeway around the edge of Lake Ontario. Stan dropped me off on his way to the office, and I couldn't thank him enough. How do you thank that kind of warmth? You don't, really. He knew that he had helped a fellow human being, and he felt good about it. And I told him that his family had been one of the highlights of my journey. And then we shook hands. He drove off, and we became each other's history. 2 quick rides took me to the border. I walked across the long bridge over the Niagara Gorge with a sign in the middle that told me I have crossed over. Home at last to my native land, and isn't it sweet? The president is there to greet me with many prominent senators. They present me with a Congressional Medal of Honor as the bands play, and the crowds cheer, and the ticker tape comes floating slowly down. Tears spring to my eyes in a wave of patriotic fervor and drown them all. All the bands peter out as they dissolve in briny sentimentality. Alone again. Far, far below, circling over the still boiling river, gulls search for breakfast as I stare upstream toward the falls. It's around the bend out of sight, but my childhood memories are sufficient, so I let it pass unseen. I remember when I was an authority on the barrels, the rather peculiar fascination of certain suicidals for riding over the falls in barrels of all kinds, from the first, which were simply oaken barrels, to the last, which were specifically designed, steel-reinforced, oxygen-equipped spheroids. Like eating goldfish, I suppose, or hopping freight trains, to each his idiocy. The gulls are looking hungry, so I drop my apple core down 500 feet to them. It hits the water with a tiny, unheard splash, and 20,000 gulls dive for it. Bon appetit! I pass through customs on foot without a hassle, and catch a ride with a Canadian down into Buffalo. On his radio, I hear that some crazy in Atlanta, Georgia, has been abducting and murdering black children. A man in Syracuse, New York, was murdered by thieves hours before his wedding. And right here in Buffalo, some dementio with a gun has been making doilies out of black men. All in all, it is not a good day to be a hitchhiker. For an hour, I get suspicious stares. A cop checks my ID, and the mood of the city is scared. A college student, bless his heart, finally gives me a lift to the eastern edge of town and puts me on 90 East. And here I stand. 1 hour, 2. The sky is dark and threatens to crack open and drip. The wind is from the north, strong and cold. My face is stiff. The shivering in my shoulders is uncontrollable, and my feet are numb. I stamp and puff and jump up and down, but there's no protection from the onslaught. I plead silently with the cars to stop and help me just for a few miles to let me warm up. Please, 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 America, stop and give me a lift. I'm your wayward prodigal son, your wanderer, your restless moving spirit. I'm the voice that crieth in the wilderness. Oh, for Christ's sake, just stop, will you? It's all washing over me again. The weariness, the loneliness, the uncertainty, and the impermanence. I am at the mercy of the public, travel or wait at the whim of the individual. Every driver is a new acquaintance, starting over. There's no common history or experience between us. I begin at the beginning with a new friend every hour, and the effort is taxing. I'm wearing thin. I need a friend who knows me, a friend with whom silence is possible. God damn, I'm cold. Please, somebody stop, please. At last, a saint in a Volvo pulls over. He's only going 20 miles, but his car is warm, warm, warm. And I'm so cold I can only shake for several minutes and have trouble talking. My lower jaw isn't cooperative, so I stick to uh-huhs and let him do the talking. He lets me off by a toll booth at the entrance exit to the turnpike and drives off. Whereupon a grouchy daughter of hell in the booth shrieks out at me, "No hitchhiking! No hitchhiking! It's illegal in the state of New York! Go on before I call the police!" I explain to her in an elegant, deferential term which she does not understand that I am new to the state, which she did not know, and that I would be satisfied to know where lieth the bus station. The poor old girl is taken totally off her guard. She does not know how to deal with a clean, smiling, friendly, cooperative hitchhiker. She's confused and embarrassed, and I let that be her punishment for her behavior. George Bernard Shaw said, "Beware the man who does not return your blow. He neither forgives you nor allows you to forgive yourself." Unfortunately, I have now played my ace, and there's nothing to do but go and find the bus station. Tramp, tramp, into a small, upstate New York town in search of another unjustifiable bus ride. Albert will be furious. He thinks I'm a lightweight. But the bus is cheap, warm, and the ride is short.